They called him the idiot, and that was exactly what he wanted. During the Vietnam War, U.S. Navy sailor Douglas Hegdall was captured and taken to the dreaded prison known as the Hanoi Hilton. There, he made a decision that would change the fate of hundreds of men: to play the fool. He played his part with absolute mastery, clumsy, naive, somewhat disoriented. His jailers mocked him, convinced he wasn't smart enough to pose a threat. They gave him a degree of freedom within the compound. A fatal mistake. While pretending to stumble through the corridors, Hegdall poured small amounts of sand and dust into the tanks of enemy trucks, discreetly sabotaging their engines. But his most heroic act of resistance was invisible. He memorized the names, capture dates, and conditions of detention of 256 American prisoners. The North Vietnamese kept this information secret, but Hegdall found an unusual way to remember it. He would mentally sing the names, one by one, to the tune of the children's song Old MacDonald Had a Farm. In 1969, the North Vietnamese decided to release him, believing it would be a propaganda gesture, letting the American idiot go free. They didn't know they were releasing one of the most valuable sources of intelligence of the entire war. Upon returning to the United States, Douglas Hegdall recited the 256 names from memory. Thanks to him, hundreds of families learned that their loved ones were still alive. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in appearing invincible, but in having the courage to let others underestimate you. Reflection: the power of appearing weak. Douglas Hegdall, nicknamed the Idiot, chose the guise of weakness to wield a silent but devastating power. His story reminds us that in the kingdom of God, what the world despises can be what he exalts. 1. Wisdom disguised as folly. Hegdall pretended to be clumsy, naive, and harmless. But in that apparent foolishness, he concealed a brilliant strategy. God works in the same way. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 25. The world values cunning, strength, and appearances. But God delights in using weakness to confound strength. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 27. 2. Humility as a strategy. Hegdall did not seek glory or recognition. His humility was both his shield and his weapon. In the Bible, Jesus himself willingly humbled himself. He made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, and humbled himself by becoming obedient to death. Philippians 2 verses 7-8. Humility is not weakness. It is power under control. It is the ability to serve unseen, to resist without fear, to overcome without recognition. 3. Singing as memory and resistance. Hegdall memorized the prisoners' names by singing them to a childlike tune. In the midst of pain, he used music as a tool of hope. The Bible also speaks of the power of singing in times of affliction. Their song is with me in the night, a prayer to the God of my life. Psalm 42 verse 8. When all seems lost, singing can be an act of faith. A reminder that the light still exists, even if it is hidden. 4. The value of the invisible. His greatest feat wasn't sabotaging engines, but preserving lives in his memory. The invisible was the most heroic. Likewise, God sees what no one else sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. Conclusion. Douglas Hegdall teaches us that true intelligence isn't always shown with brilliant words, but with quiet deeds. That courage doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers. And that God can use what the world calls idiot to bring freedom, justice, and redemption. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Matthew 5 verse 5.